Hello, everyone, and I hope you're doing well today. Thank you for joining me for our study of Genesis as we begin our newest series, Bible Book Study. The point of the study is not to act as a shortened version so you don't have to study the book yourself, because to get the full message, you will need to study God's Word. What we'll do instead is go through a verse that helps us sum up the book and then see some of its applications. Another aim of this study is to give you some information to help you study the book yourself, as well as discuss some of the hard-hitting questions that we as Christians have to answer using God's Word as our guide. To start off this study, I could find no better place to start than the beginning, Genesis. It is the first book of the Bible, and it explains the beginning of many things: creation, the fall, the 12 tribes, and the path to redemption, just to name a few. Before I focus on our verse today, I want to talk about the word Genesis. Genesis is the first book of the Christian Bible and the Jewish Bible. It belongs to the Torah, translated the law, from Hebrew. With all that said, Genesis is not a Hebrew word. The word Genesis is Greek in origin, and literally translated as origin. It belongs to what scholars call the Pentateuch, meaning the first 5 books. See the prefix penta, meaning 5, just as in Pentagon. Genesis was the name given by scholars in 250 BC who translated the Hebrew text to Greek, the common language of that day, much like English is today. At this point you might be asking, why are you going so much into detail about the words and translations? I do so because while the Hebrew is the most pure read, there are no differences in message through the translations between Hebrew and English. Some may argue that the message is different if you read it in English. This is not true. The translation is, in fact, accurate. With all this in mind, Moses writes Genesis, and this leads into our first verse. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is such a simple verse, but it's absolutely magnificent in terms of power. Let's take a look at what this means. I've broken this verse down into 3 parts. First, in the beginning. This means the beginning of creation as we can understand. This is creation's beginning. Therefore, God existed before creation as he had to create it. Second, God created. This means God is not created and has no set beginning. He is, or as God puts it, I am. He is the creator, not creation. And third, the heavens and the earth. I believe the heaven discussed here refers to space, or the universe, and while the earth is a part of the universe, special attention is given here to earth. For context, there are 3 heavens in the Bible: the sky, space, and God's dwelling place. The sky is referenced in verses 6 through 8, and God's dwelling place likely existed before this point and is outside this universe. However, what is most important through all this in Genesis 1:1 is not the time it takes to create all this, but that God is behind the creation. That's the key here, that God is the author of all of this. Now, here are the other important stories of Genesis that you should study on your own. For your convenience, here are the chapters as well. The creation story, chapters 1 through 2. The fall, chapter 3. Cain and Abel, chapter 4. The lineage from Adam to Noah, chapter 5. Noah's story in the flood, chapters 6 through 10. The Tower of Babel, chapter 11. Abraham's story of faith, 12 through 25. Isaac's story, 21 through 35. Jacob, also known as Israel's story, Genesis 27 through 49. Esau's lineage, chapter 36. Joseph, his coat and dreams, Genesis 37 through 50. Genesis is full of applications, and if I were to discuss every point, the lesson would never end. With that said, here are 2 points I'd like us to focus on. The first application is that this is all by God's hand. This universe is created by God and has order. You cannot get universal laws and principles like those found in science from complete chaos and a chance explosion. I cannot tell you how God made the universe other than he spoke it to existence. He laid out rules and order from stars billions of miles apart down to particles smaller than an atom. What matters is that God made us. That's it. And now the second application. While God made all of that, we are made in his image. You are the pinnacle of God's creation. God did not send his son Jesus to die for planets, for animals, or anything else. Jesus came to save you. While the fall is found in Genesis, So is the first move to redemption, as I said regarding Abraham. While God cares about the order of the universe found in Genesis to the birds and flowers mentioned in Matthew 6, He died for you, and Jesus was raised from the dead so that you could be saved. That should make you feel valued and special, because you are. Simply amazing. Thank you for studying Genesis 1:1 with me. Next week we'll be discussing Exodus and study how God saved His people. Have a great day, and God bless.